Hello. All right. Let's get situated. All right. So my name is Lizzie, and I am not a psychologist. I'm not a botanist. I'm not a dermatologist. I have no ist behind my name. I am literally just a human being that has a body, mind, and wallet. So I like to jump on here and just share a little bit, like the practices and the products that help us. Us as in me and my family. So I don't have any certificates or anything like that, but I do have conviction, and I do have just experience with what has happened in my life. So you don't have to have any ist or anything behind your name to want to know what's going on with your body, your mind, and your wallet. So again, just going to jump on here and share a little bit about what I've kind of discovered about anxiety and how it does affect my BMW. And BMW again is body, mind, and wallet. And that is what is at the hub of your heart. So if you ever want to know what's going on, you kind of just, instead of treating the symptom like society does, I always like to get to the root of like, what am I feeling? I know my first feeling is anger, but what is what is the first feeling? And I think a lot of people have learned that, like, what's your secondary feeling is anger. What's your first feeling? So we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety. And I'm sitting today because I feel like I need to sit. I feel like that's what's making me feel a little bit out of breath. So we're basically in the safe zone to have the baby. So I'm kind of like a little bit more out of breath, having a little bit, those Braxton contractions. So they don't feel good when they come on, when you're like standing and you're like, and then full disclaimer, look, there's laundry right there. I'm like, let me block it. But I'm like, I don't care. Whatever. Okay. So anxiety, the way that it affects your body. So when you have an anxious thought, right? So anxiety, I personally believe, comes from the fear of just things that we have to do, things that we should do, or maybe just the unknown. A lot of the time when we're hopeless, like say you have a deadline, you have something that you have to do, a project from work. You have this thing that's just basically weighing over your head, or something you should do, but you're like, oh my gosh, where do I even start? It's the unknown. So instead of taking action, we go into anxiety. And that actually comes from the biggest part of that is just procrastination. And then I've procrastinated my whole day, and I've just sat here and I've scrolled all day long. After you look up, and I've done it too, and I still do it. But after you have scrolled for an hour, like even an hour can go by like that. When you've scrolled for an hour, you literally feel so much shame and guilt, and you're just like, oh my goodness. You don't never feel smarter. You never feel more accomplished. You never feel like, oh, that was way better than what I was supposed to be doing. So then you have like this guilt and this shame, and you're just like, oh my gosh, now I have to like figure out how to get this done, and I have to do it tomorrow. So again, but you have to get dinner on the table. You have to do homework. You have to get back to work. You have to do all these things. So it's like, it's you're like, I did this, this guilt and the shame. I did this. So at least that's for me. That's just what I kind of go through. And I've seen a lot of my friends and family go through the same thing. And it's so good to, for me to be in like a group setting, or like even one-on-one with someone else, to kind of pick their brain and to not feel so alone. It doesn't make it right. We don't make it right. By like, oh yeah, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. No, but at least you don't feel so alone. But you kind of come up with your own plan of action of what to do. So really, when you do have these anxiety, and they're called like overwhelming anxiety, or you're worried, or you're overanalyzing, I feel like overanalyzing or paralysis by analysis comes from you trying to sit there and dissect why you should or shouldn't do something, and you like look at all of the negatives. You really don't. I don't really look at the positives when I'm looking at that. I look at all the negatives of why I shouldn't do it and talk myself into it and make it seem like it's okay. So and like I just had this like whole, like revelation, but like that's the whirlwind of anxiety. That's literally how it feels inside of my head, at least when I have, anxiety. So when it's thought-provoked anxiety, that is that's what kind of goes into, and after you're like so overly anxious and you're over analyzing and you're overstimulated with all the things you have to do, your body starts to kind of be so exhausted and it shuts down. It starts shutting down. And that's what I call depression, where you're like, I am like so tired. I need to lay down. And sometimes it is just like, I'm just overwhelmed. And I need to go just like lay down and like breathe and pray. But sometimes it does stick and it becomes depression, where your body is physically exhausted and you literally can't get up from bed. You have no motivation to do anything because you're so behind anyway. So it's like, why? Who even cares? No, it doesn't even matter. I'm so far behind. I'm not going to do anything today. And I hate when I get to that point because I'm just like, why? Who cares? Like, well, I'm it's not even going to put a dent in what I'm doing anyway. So that is like the body part of anxiety. So if we start at, the B and W, the body part of just mental paralysis turns into depression, turns into you can't move, your body aches, your head hurts, you can't really eat because you're so, all the cortisol, all the stress, all of that stuff is taking over your body. So you really just can't eat. Or maybe you're just like, I'm going to eat until I literally can't feel anything. And I've been in that place too, where you're just like, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to eat. And because when I personally eat, I fall asleep. So I'm just like, I'm just going to put myself out of my misery and I'm going to go to sleep. So that's like the physical aspect of anxiety, but there is like a chemical part of anxiety. So whenever you have, and I've shared this before, that I've had when I've gotten like poison, and when I say poison, that means that like air freshener, laundry detergent, like anything, like if someone's around me and they are wearing perfume, and it's not even a lot of perfume, it's just a little bit of perfume, I literally am just like, my brain is like throbbing right now, like, and I can feel it. I remember, I know what it feels like, because at first it's like fogginess. You're just groggy. My eyes are turning red because I'm intoxicated with whatever is going on in the environment. My eyes turn red. I get super foggy, super like anxious almost, so that I'm just like, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And like my brain is literally throbbing. And then I can't breathe. I can't breathe at all because my lungs know that like, I shouldn't be breathing this in. This is toxic. Our bodies are so smart like that, to where like, if you're breathing something in, like when you smell like gas, you're like, oh my gosh, alert. Your amygdala is like, alert, there's danger. Like you smell gas coming out of the stove, but there's no fire. That's a big one. And that's why they put that smell in there. If you still smell smoke, your body will actually kind of put up this, like, where your lungs, like, they don't take deep breaths. Like you don't take really deep breaths. You take really short breaths. And when you're taking short breaths, your mind is not getting the oxygen that it needs. Your lungs are not fully, getting big and like going back and forth. You can't breathe. So that's what happens to me. Like when I get poisoned by, air freshener, Febreze, chemicals, sprays, like bleach, it's just horrible. I literally, my body will go, and I just can't breathe. So, and when you can't breathe, that's why, like, when you're having an anxiety attack, that's why the biggest thing that they tell you is to breathe, because if you don't, just breathe. There's nothing else that you can control right now, but we can control our breath, right? So it's like such a powerful feeling. And I'm learning it going into giving birth. Like my midwife is like, all you need to do, and even Ryan said it, he was like, so I'm getting the gist of this like labor thing that really all you need to do is breathe and then push when you need to push, basically at the end. And it's not all the whole time. Like misconception is like, I'm just pushing. No, get through the labor, breathe. And then Ryan said something so like profound yesterday. He was just like, and your body will know what to do. You just allow your body to do what it needs to do, and it knows it should do. And that was such a empowering statement that he said. So simple, but it was so like, yeah, like our bodies know what it should do. So just breathing, right? But so that is the physical side of anxiety. Like you can be poisoned from obviously a toxic chemical, like cleaners, fabric softener, perfume, anything you put in and on your body is going to be absorbed through, like you put lotion on that has fragrance in it, the word fragrance, your body's literally going to absorb it, right? Because this is the largest organ. Okay. So just because you're not sitting there going, doesn't mean that it's not going into your bloodstream. It's going into your bloodstream because your skin is absorbing all of it. So you're getting poisoned. Like right when we wake up as women, we literally wake up and it's over 80 different toxic chemicals onto our body before we even leave the house. And that's why when we like leave the house, we like, some of us we're very used to the feeling of that we get from what we're putting on our bodies. But if you detox, right, and then you go back and you try to put that stuff back on, you are not going to be able to put that back on. I'll tell you right now, you will know the difference because you've already detoxed. So if that's like the smallest little thing that you take from this, what I'm saying is try it. Just try it. Just try to go like clean. And when I say clean, just very simply put, anything that has fragrance in it, just don't use that. Use something that doesn't have fragrance in it. Okay. Obviously I love the products that I use. But a lot of people just think that their products are the best, and that's awesome. But if you're actually using something that's pure, then you're not going to have that side effect. Like if you're like, okay, I'm using lavender, right? I'm using lavender. What else is in this lavender? Let's see. Oh, it's just lavender. It's just 100% lavender, right? When something says that you should not consume it, you should not put it, like if you put it in your body, then call like the poison control. That's the first inclination that it should not be on your body. I don't care if it is an over-the-counter rash cream. I don't care if it's whatever. If it says like anything, like for like, if we use like Thieves, right? So Thieves. This is the cleaner that I use because I don't use any of those other toxic cleaners. So literally what is the warning? It literally says, if you do get it in your eyes, use water to wash it out. It's not going to harm you, Of course, don't spray in your eyes. Like, that's just weird. But you don't have to call poison control. You don't have to get your stomach pumped. You don't have to shove charcoal down your throat and get it out because it's not a toxic chemical. So yeah, if you use like an essential oil that is pure, and you know it's pure, okay? How do you know it's pure? Well, because you've been to the farm, because you've seen the process, because you've seen the ins and outs of it. Can you really say that about your products? I know what they market it. I love when a product says on the front end, it says all natural, no toxic ingredients, no this and that. And it literally, some of them even say like no fragrance. Then you turn it around and it like literally says essential oil fragrance. What is an essential oil fragrance? Either it's an essential oil or it's a fragrance. That doesn't even make sense. So just look at the products that you're using. That's all I'm saying. So there's the physical side of anxiety, which you can get from toxic chemicals. And then you can also get it from just your mind. It's a mind thing. Anxiety, I don't want to say it's all in your mind, because I know that sometimes it is physical. And when we say it's hereditary, I think that's the funniest thing in the whole entire world when someone's like, well, it's just hereditary. Anxiety is hereditary. Yeah, because we're all humans. Of course, we're all going to have the same like side effects of what our bodies are doing and what our minds are doing, because our minds are beautiful and amazing, but they can also be used for not good. They could be used against us, because our minds are not here to make us happy. Our minds are here to make us safe. So if we go back to, our, caveman time, our bodies were literally, our minds were used to make us safe. Is there a threat? Is there anything going on? To like in the amygdala, obviously that's where you're going to find like the response. That is your alarm for your mind. Okay. For your human, right? So that's going to tell us like in this situation right here, do I need to fight? Do I need to run, flight, or do I need to freeze? What am I going to do? That's what I'm going to do right here in my amygdala. So it's not here to make us happy or comfortable or whatever, feel good about ourselves. And no, it's literally here to make us feel safe. So if every time you ever have something like a deadline, or if you have like confrontation, or if you have to do public speaking or doing anything like that, and you tell yourself that that is a scary thought, your mind is literally going to say, scary thought, every time that we go there. I used to do it with work, and I still kind of do it with work a little bit, but I used to do it more when I was bartending. Because bartending for me, I was 21 years old. It was my first bartending job, and I worked at a nightclub. Like I barely even knew how to do I wasn't like the best, when you're like not the best in math. So when you're trying to calculate real quick, this one costs $14, this one's $22, this one's 10, like all really fast. I was not the fastest bartender, but every single day. And I would also have confrontations with the guests because they're drunk or whatever. I wouldn't know how to make something, or it wasn't fast enough, and I just never felt adequate. So I would every single day. It's crazy, every single day. And I can honestly say I worked there for years. And I always had anxiety every single day going into work, pulling into that parking garage. I had anxiety because I had trained my mind to feel anxiety. So now what I do, instead of feeling anxious, I turn it into excitement. Okay, so it's the same anxious thought that I had maybe a week ago. I turn it into excitement. And then once you turn something into a good feeling, then you literally train your brain. Like bartending wasn't a threat. It wasn't anything that was horrible. I made amazing money, but it wasn't a great quality of life. I don't think it was. But definitely wasn't a threat. But I made it a threat because that's just what my mind did. Okay, so that's the mental side of anxiety, and then the wallet side of anxiety. So when you have anxiety, you think that there's something wrong with you. You think there's 100%, it's just me. I have this rare condition called anxiety / this, whatever the doctor tells you. But really, it's just being a human being and being so trained to feel that thought. Yes, there's chronic anxiety. There is a lot of other things that I don't know anything about because I'm not an IST, right? I don't study that. I'm just saying, between you and I, humans, what we're feeling anxiety, it's totally, it's how long do you stay in that anxious thought, in that anxious state of mind? And what really kills the anxiety and the depression and like the procrastination is what? Action. So if you take action, even a little bit of action, getting out of bed, getting in the shower, making your bed, and then maybe even watching like a self-help video or praying, especially praying, it will literally just kind of like, okay, and then we have the confidence. We're like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. We're going to get out of this. It's action. That is the antidote to anxiety. Okay. Now, every day you have to wake up every day and you have to say, I'm going to take action today, whether it's one thing, two things, whatever. Start with one thing. I start with one thing. I'm like, okay, this is going to push my business in this direction. This is going to push my family into wholeness. This is going to be good. One thing. So going back to wallet, on the wallet side, when you have anxiety and you think that you're the only one that has it, and that you need to go see a therapist, which is awesome. Like, I love therapy, love it. How many of us can afford it though? And yes, there is support from the state, 100%. You could totally, but when you do get support from the state, you do have to follow their protocol of whatever they want you to do. And if it means getting a prescription, whatever it means, whatever they think you should do. And you have to remember, what you pay for is what you get. So if you don't pay for something, you're not going to get personalized, not personalized, but you're just basically have to go by their rules, if that makes sense. And if you trust your health and your safety to the state or the, people, I just don't think that they have our best interests in mind. Again, you have to remember it's a business. And yes, it's the welfare. It's called welfare, the welfare of the city or the state or the country, because they have to do this, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best thing for you. So while you're getting to that point of getting the funds for therapy and this and that, group therapy is amazing. If you've ever been to group therapy, it's so amazing. You literally sit in a group of people and you share for like a couple minutes. It's not even crazy amount of time. Or you don't have to share. You can just listen, and just listening is empowering because you can hear that, oh my goodness, she feels the same way that I'm feeling. Like I couldn't verbalize what I was feeling, but she just did, like even a little bit. You don't even have to be like huge, like amazingly articulate or anything, but just verbalizing like what you're feeling helps the other person understand what they're feeling too. So it's amazing. And you're going to sit in a group and they're not going to try to diagnose you and tell you that you have all of these, I was going to say something, but all of these different problems. And they're not going to prescribe you any, antidepressants or anything like that. They're going to just say, thank you for sharing. And through that process, it's so healing because you're like, okay, awesome. This is amazing. And all you have to do, and like initially, all you have to do is like show up. And especially at CR, like what we do on Monday nights, it is the most amazing feeling to be able to just say, thank you for sharing. And like I feel like I always get more from when I hear people share than when I share. I don't know why. I just feel like it just feels so amazing. But it does feel really good to share. So that's kind of the wallet side. Group therapy is awesome and it's normally free. 100% free. If you're looking for like a group therapy, place that you want to go to, we have CR literally on every single day of the week. You don't have to wait till Wednesday of every week to go. And if you even pick up like a magazine of some kind that literally says like mental illness resources, it literally shows you where you can go to group therapy and meet awesome people that are going through the same problem that you're going through. And you can like just test them out and see which one works for you. But really, like, it's going to save you a lot of money, because if we wait till we can afford $200 per hour for a therapist one-on-one or whatever, if you have one that's free, that's awesome. But we heal in community. So why would you, like, isolating is 100% from the enemy. That's why I love this whole thing they're going to try to do again. That's awesome. But group and community and just being around other humans, like, we're not that different from each other, you guys. Like, we have the same, we were created with the same the bodies, our minds, and like the same struggles that we go through. So why are we pretending that we are like the exception? Like, my disease is way, way different from your disease. Like, no, it's just a label that was put on something to make you feel, or like to make you feel like you're the only one. And I feel like that's kind of like it's like a distraction almost, like, I'm not saying that everyone is the same and everything that I say on here is just a one-stop shop and a blanket, whatever. It's like, no, just try it. I mean, humans have tried it and it worked. Like I've tried it, it's worked. But no, I can honestly say that I deal with anxiety. I notice more when I do not get into community, when I'm out of community, when I'm out of prayer, when I think that I am the only one and I think that I'm like a victim and I have a pity party. That's when like the anxiety does kind of creep up. But all in all, if we just try the things that have worked and then we say it doesn't work, that's fine. But if we've never tried them, how do you know? And how do you know what to try? Right. So that's kind of why I just jumped on here. But if you guys have any questions at all, you can definitely just message me, whatever. That's kind of what me and my family do. That's why we like what is at the heart of your anxiety? Like what is the issue? Okay, it's this. Is it money? Okay, how can we make more money? What can we be doing right now? Oh, our business. Okay, well, have we done anything to push the needle in our business? We haven't. Oh, okay, that's our problem. There we go, right there. So just kind of getting to the root or the heart, the hub of the heart. That's what we do. So, again, my name is Lizzie, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Bye.